having worked at a grocery store for 3 years, I've seen a lot of sad things. But probably the saddest thing I've seen is watching a bagger go and bag a watermelon with just one of these, and then him turn and watch the watermelon just fall straight through the bottom and just explode over the floor. I may have laughed at him, but it's okay. But if he would have had proper training and learning how to do it, he may have thought maybe I should use multiple bags, or asked if the guy even wanted it in a bag in the first place. But maybe me giving this speech will help you not make that mistake in the future. Now there's 3 things that I like to do or talk about when it comes to bagging, and that is making sure it all fits, making sure that weight is right, not destroying everything, and understanding how time and split-second decisions help. Now, I'm Jacob Rogers, and this is my speech, Paper or Plastic. Now, the first thing is making it all fit, and the idea is that you want to bag more or less like-minded things, or like things like, this is like a box, obviously, so it's square, so you would look for other things that are square. Maybe it's not the same type of thing, because obviously this is cake batter and this is noodles, they don't really go together, but they're the same type of container and packaging, which is really helpful when you're trying to get it into a bag. See, it's pretty like, the goal is like Tetris. It's like 3D Tetris, if you think about it that way, except weight matters. When you're playing a game, it doesn't. Because if you just throw it in like this, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, and like I said, noodle stock, and cake batter, it's a perfect mix. But the idea of just getting it all in, I mean, and the other point, now that I'm looking at it, is if you get boxes, it likes to just poke through the holes. The bag's like pulling each other and just straight ripping. So it's good to get things that are like each other, so this doesn't necessarily happen. So you have to pull on it pretty hard to get that to rip. I'll let that go a piece. But, and the best part about just this speech in general is you kind of have to get all 3 together, because you have to understand how the weight works to help with the getting it all in and the time. But there's do's and don'ts when it comes to getting things like this, because you're not going to go over, grab these things, and say, hey, let's get some bread in here too. I'm not going to just grab the bread, throw it in there, and then just toss that on top. Because hey, who wants to make bread or a sandwich with this now? I mean, like, obviously, like, that doesn't seem like the greatest idea. So, it's bad bread, it's okay. But going through and just getting and rolling with the blows is something else that it's just really important. Because, I mean, you're like, from my point of view, I'm sitting at the end of a belt, and you just keep things just keep rolling at you. And it's really just good to think about where and what the product is. Because if you get, I mean, there's obviously nothing in here, but if you get a cold item like this, you're not just going to go, hey, these go together perfectly. And especially having customers yell at you multiple times, you kind of figure out what they want and what they don't want. Because you're not going to just, here, grab 2 butters, and then let's throw a bunch of other stuff in here, because it seems pretty realistic being able just to throw a bunch of things in a bag and just go. I mean, like, most people will probably just do that and not think twice. But when you work at just a grocery store, you see people bring in soap and chicken and all that. Well, I'm obviously not going to bring all of that because that's a lot of money. But it's really fun just to sit and listen to customers tell you, because that's how I've learned what customers really want, what they don't want. And that's probably the best part about, I'm not say the best part, but it's the easiest part about bagging is the experience that you gain from doing it so long. And being able to just understand that, not necessarily what the product is or what it looks like, but also the weight. Which brings me to my second point, the weight. And that's why I brought 2 2-liters, because most people, when they think about, when they bring 2 2-liters, it's, hey, just throw these in a bag and go. I've seen many a times people throw 2 2-liters just standing up there, and there's eggs in the bag. Oh no. And now there's broken eggs everywhere. Oh, no, that's another thing I don't have. But that's my favorite, because I've had that happen, believe it or not. I've had people had eggs in a bag, and then just grab 2 2-liters and just throw it in the bag. And then they grab the bag, and there's just a bunch of yolk. just stick in the bag. It'd be awesome if I had Yoke in here, but I don't. It's another point. So, get another bag. When you get 2 liters, especially, and like I said, weight and distribution is also a thing. So, like, I've never had this break. Like I said, I've seen people bring 2 liters and just stand them straight up, and then that just falls straight through, and then you get soda everywhere, and that's a lot of fun to clean up. Just imagine going through and finding just soda everywhere. That's exactly what a grocery store trip should sound like, right? And I found out, most people have told me this, is if you have them lined up, I really can't. I'll pull them out of the bag so you can see it a little better. If you have it, if I can turn fast forward. If you have it straight up like that, I've never seen a bag break. That's just another tip and trick that I've learned, is if you just distribute the weight, even a plastic bag like this won't break, just one. And normally you get people going through the line, say, hey, double bag it. I mean, you listen to them because the customer's right. But I've learned over the time that weight and getting everything in is just a matter of experience and understanding, and that's why I'm here, is to share my experiences and my understanding and allow you guys to learn from it and hopefully gain something from it. Because in the end, I mean, everybody gets groceries. Everybody goes to the grocery store. You're going to end up bagging your own groceries sometime. I've seen it a lot. And it's always fun to watch the customers try to bag their own groceries and understand just how little they know. And they're like, oh, you do it. And I've done it for so long that I don't think it's like second nature to me. So it's really weird and different just to explain it to people who don't do it every day. So like everybody, it's common sense to understand that you're not gonna throw chips and a 2 liter in a bag together because you're gonna get crushed chips. And we know you're not gonna throw a bunch of frozen stuff with the produce because you're just gonna end up ruining the produce. And that's the knowing your product, which is also just something really important to go off of, is knowing your products, like I said. Time is my third point, and like I said a little bit ago, that you're sitting in front of a belt with just things rolling at you. And I say literally rolling. And it's really, it's another thing to roll with the blows. And that's what I hear that a lot. You gotta roll with the blows. Like if somebody's gonna start just throwing a bunch of 2 liters and chips at you, you're not gonna just bag them together, and it's gonna be different and difficult just to remember what goes with what. And like when I first started working at Dillon's, I kept getting told not to put, I don't know, cold stuff with like a 2 liter or something because it ended up breaking. And I hear older people tell me constantly that, hey, I prefer paper, even though they just tell you to use plastic. And it's a lot to take in at once. And it's a lot to think about every time you go into the store, what you're gonna get. Like when I shop, I think about what's gonna go with what when I'm shopping. It gets to a point that I think it's kind of just insane what I'm doing. But really it looks like a mess up here now, which is probably what it'll look like when you go shopping and just getting it all together. And it's really just it's gonna sound weird, but a lost art. In a weird way, because not many people know what real bagging and bagging necessarily is. And it's something I feel like it's kind of important for everybody to understand. But just to rehash what I've talked about so far, I've talked about necessarily getting it all in and not living with bags like this. I've talked about not necessarily breaking everything that really is kind of useful when it's not broken. And I've talked about how you're getting thrown things at you constantly. It's good to just roll the blows and kind of organize everything. So, thank you.